Hello, welcome to Green Kill Gallery Sessions. My name is Guy Reed. Green Kill Gallery is run by David Schell. He does a wonderful job. Thank you, David. I am reading tonight with Roberta Gould, who asked me to read with her. I'm very excited to do that. Known Roberta probably 20 years. I feel like I've known every poet in the area for 20 years because that's kind of when I started getting out and reading. We're going to read in a couple of sections tonight, so I'm going to read some poems. Roberta's going to come up, read some poems. I'll read some more. Roberta, who knows what else may happen. Roberta may even start singing as it. So thank you all for tuning in. If you're out in virtual land, thank you for being here. We have some audience members. I haven't read in front of anyone for a while now. I saw... Roberta sent around an email I saw called me Exemplary Minnesotan, which I thought was interesting. Born and raised in Minnesota, met and married someone who grew up in Manhattan, and it was our dream, well before we knew each other, to live in the country. We went in and lived in a few different places and ended up here in the Mid-Hudson Valley about 25 years ago. And so the work I'm going to read is recent work, and it's basically about living here. It's the longest I've lived anywhere, so eventually it's going to work its way into my poems. So these are short, nature-based poems. Morning Glories. I've spent my days trying to get closer to you, my love. Frustrations of separation pulse in me. The spark behind the life force remains unknowable. Like the morning glories, thick with splendor late in the season, I only touch and gaze upon the skin of their beauty. Their lifeblood courses from underground, chemical origin, up through lattice work to bloom into unfolding creation. Toward the light. To travel my own routes, the spectrum of aura, light branching somewhere out in there, all that is, maybe a place or an experience, a seed of soul, to feel a connection to you past the sheen of presence, close hum of the secret furnace. These days pass with more white than red in my beard. I have gotten no closer. You go on, as will I, until outside time, beyond surface, we synthesize, glow. Raven. Great wing beats explode off the ground, up across the road into the mid-level leafless branches. I jump and slap my hands together. Worried he mistook my clap as a shoo, I cluck-croaked a throated voice I've heard the blackbirds use in flight down the mountain swale of air. I want him to land. See, I'm not a threat. They remember faces. I walk around the corner, see a fresh dead squirrel, and realize I've wrecked the raven's dinner. Sorry, I say aloud. He's already flown from sight. Lately, I'm saying sorry to all the dead animals I drive by, an apology prayer for the indignity of death's display. Early in spring, it's the squirrels who lead the roadkill. Last year, it was the chipmunks. This time, I only apologize to the raven. I don't usually write, I guess everything one does can be considered a political act, I don't know. Don't really write anything political in my poems, but just this has a little bit of that in there. Living in the Mid-Hudson Valley for 25 years, I've seen a lot of development. Things have really changed, like they have everywhere, I'm assuming. This is about that. Farms face the rising sun. It looks like just a few trees cleared for a driveway, but beyond the hill there are acres of cornfields being stripped, paving the way for some type of center. Here, in the middle of nowhere asphalt, soil is encased. The roasted chickens are full of fat, the pigskin is crispy. The workers must be fed. Atop the scaffolding, one can see over the rises in the land to the homes nestled with their backs to the development. The man in charge is excited about his endeavor and sees comfort, the black tar, concrete and steel girders. A cathedral of the new plan for people to gather for some purpose, not to work the land, but to view its beauty from inside its destruction. There's nothing like listening to a building being built in the woods from start to finish. It's disturbing. But hey, everybody's house is built at some point, right? So Dan Wilcox, I saw read recently, he talked about writing imitation Chinese poems. And when I was writing this recent work, I definitely was thinking about Chinese poets, imagists, a little bit of James Wright. These next few are good examples of that. Classical Chinese poetry. Essence. Essence. In the kind of clarity found only in September, the last of summer's deep green frames a white egret, dipping its head into the blue pond. Mirror of the bluer sky where the lone cloud drifts in the shape of a turtle. Quiet. The moon, waxing beyond the wind over the mountaintop past the lunar-colored clouds. Not a peep, ever. It doesn't even whisper our names. A cipher, the blank page, the empty canvas. We only wear the moon like a mask as we frolic in the forest. Part our circle of light, a dusty rock in space. Our clock swinging the cradle of tides every day, even when we rise at 3:30 a.m., and there is no one with whom to share our aloneness. I'm going to take a little sip of water here. This really is water, too. Not vodka or moonshine. Though it could be. This one's new. It could probably almost work better on the page, but this is a reading, so. Dead of night. November. All is quiet. A soft teck. A leaf breaks from its tree. A stiff tick. Nothing returns. I hear the silence. So I'm the kind of guy who will spend a Saturday afternoon, I've done this, watching ants move their entire colony like 40 yards across the yard to a new spot. I just find that kind of stuff fascinating. So to be able to witness a moment when a single leaf breaks from a tree in the silence of night, and that's all there is just, to me, the whole point of why I moved to the country. That was really why I was kind of bringing up that in the beginning. And I feel very fortunate to be able to witness something like that, something as small and simple as that. I mentioned James Wright before. This This has a hammock in it, and if you know anything about James Wright, you'll know one of his famous poems about hammock. Cusp. It's well after Labor Day, and though summer is still on the calendar, the season has changed. Skeins of geese have been heard coming down from the north. These days are suddenly not long enough to hold this rare, dying light. Such a shame to waste those long daylight hours on a month so frivolous as June, when 6:00 p.m. feels merely like afternoon. No one has time then but to go, go, go. And here, after the dog days in the rain of acorns where green becomes golden, hardly any time at all. Not even on early Sunday evenings, when the sun sets behind the mountain before the sadness has barely begun. A chill in the air. Surely the hammock's last hour. And I guess that's the time we're in now. This next poem I want to read. Everyone's lost somebody, more than one person, I'm sure. It felt like a while, but this year I've lost a few family elders, and I'm going to read this for them, for my Aunt Blanche. Generations. What is the half-life of grief? Do we measure it in winters or springs, or by the photos on the wall? Does it graph the creases of our mouths, smiling, frowning, resting, or thinking out loud? Stories reverberate, faces shimmer inner walls, years past their last breath. Can you recall? Grief's solitude reduced to its greatest effect, not halved in the world, but one ripple still ringing out in the pond. This one's based on another amazing thing that happened right in the woods. I'm going to read this one from my Uncle Ken, who is still with us. Love that guy. He's very inspirational. And so I'm dedicating it to Ken. Taking flight. Dragonflies rise into the sky, a widening gyre, vortex near my neighbor's stone fence, a bare place behind the cedars. I can wrap my arms around the bottom as hundreds of dragonflies spiral counterclockwise. Reaching the top, 20 feet wide, they fly off, but the spiral remains continuous. No nymph hatch feeding the swirl. The forest gives birth, a rift in matter's veil. Dragonflies materialize right out of the air. Invitation from a nature spirit? Step forward, exuviate your skin, be sucked into the cyclone and transform. Winged illusion, iridescent fire whirling into a summer night. I hold back. The spiral loosens. The final few achieve the top at twilight. Scattering to every direction, the dragonflies disappear as birds fall silent and crickets take up the night watch. I lumber home, still in my skin, undress, crawl into bed, close my eyes, intake, then release a breath, relax solar plexus, dream in the speed of light. And I will read one more in this section, and then we're going to have Roberta come up. I'm looking forward to hearing Roberta. This one is, I had a good fortune of making a film with directing partner Katie Kokonos a couple years ago. We were going to make an experimental little film It just had images of water and poetry. Well, we ended up making a documentary. It was like 33 minutes long, pretty straightforward, so no poetry. Lots of beautiful water. It's about the Esopus Creek. You can find it on YouTube. Just type in "Water Keeps Time." I wrote a poem. This is a poem I wrote for it. Water keeps time. Water flows and collects. Stopped up, it is power, just with the weight of being itself. In an instant takes the path of least resistance. Water's time carves the face of earth. Water changes land as flow changes course. Moving water moves mountains, pummels and slices rock, deposits granite wherever it wants. Water returns everything to the sea with mountain ranges we've never seen. Water with wind shapes the land so slowly it seems everything was finished yesterday. Boulders look like forever, but crust and strata made by days that number among the sands of time. All the water that ever was still is. You cannot hold it in your hands, but for a few drops. Water is beholden to gravity's pull or air's allure, doesn't worry direction, just goes. Frozen, without motion, it expands memory and retains its life. Excuse me. Not used to reading. Kingdoms rise and fall. Shinier civilizations progress and they will go. But water first feeds the deep roots. Fish, flora, fauna, and people harness it. Water takes its own nourishment, feeds on the sun's energy, what soaks in the land, oxygen it shares with the air, and what falls from the sky. We feed the water with what we feed the earth. We are made from water, and water quenches our thirst. Each of us floated in the chamber of birth. Water washes uncleanliness, making new again. It runs, leaps, tumbles, and can lie perfectly still. It sings, shouts, and roars. Other times it murmurs, whispers, drips, and can drift by without a sound. Gathers in the sky, disappears underground, collects, and flows once more. Keeps time with the tides. Thank you. Next we have Roberta Gould, and I'll be back and enjoy her work.
Whatever it is, and I prepared something in a strange way. I never prepare too much. I prepare, but I don't really prepare. Because I guess I follow what I heard on the radio of the Holy Rollers when I was 14 or something. And the woman said about singing and something about seized by the Spirit. And that phrase always stayed with me, seized by the Spirit. I really think I'm just spontaneous and bursting as a person. I burst and I'm spontaneous, but I don't have the narrative thing in me. So here we go. I'm going to read the very latest poems of the last few weeks. Hope. Forever they're worth, like them, don't like them, that's fine, and I would like any feedback that you might have. Hope. I did what I did, but I forgot I did it. So I began again another time. That's when it got better, redeeming the past with the blink of an eye. All fell into place, undemanded, and all was well. Achieved. I sewed in a button, fixed my eyeglass frame with glue invented in my 35th year. I screamed at the flag like a fool, shut up with new awareness, discovered in the middle of the night. No need to be proud of my progress. Mother did it like breathing. away. This, I had a few notes that I saw the other day, and I said, oh, I'll make a poem. I'll try to work that out. Frankly, doing this writing is a way of not going nuts, and it's a way of, filling time, taking advantage of time, or getting rid of time. Away. So then I fixed this up, and it was fun. I didn't even know it was there. Away. This is biographical in a way, which is rare for me. Away. You took the liberty of closing the door I always left open, imposing your mode on mine. It was enough to let tiny creatures in, but Alice was locked out then, orange under the moon. And she was lifted. A raptor took her while we slept. In the morning, all we found was a thin swath of hair, and we knew, as she must have known, in the grip that owned her, hopelessly flown away. It's a true story. This one is called The Ambitious. It's about ambitious people, Some people, they're ambitious, they're going to get there, and like, what's in our culture? I mean, why do they have trillions of dollars each? I mean, they're ambitious, right? Wind the wire tighter, so thin the air falters, and you can't ascend fast. I'm sorry, I've got to be it over again. The ambitious. Wind the wire tighter, so thin the air falters, and you can ascend fast to the stars we never dreamed. Though you have a smashed no mirror, your face shows the days. Your dance lacks wonder, lead bells on your toes. Words with presumed power you send to a blank screen, and what you project to the world you call other. The mutterer. This is about language. Words came cheap. You mouthed them, slipshod, lazy. Sit up, speak right, belt your blubber tight, and breathe to the sky when you speak. Give back language, honor the gift. No hardship your labor, worthy of time and the age. Will you? With morning coffee. I wrote this the other day in about 10 minutes, and I spent about, 6 hours off and on to just get it right. I think it might be right now. This poem was for the people of Huehuetenango, Guatemala. You probably heard of them. With morning coffee. Someone was murdered and they stole the huipil, woven on her backstrap loom, as she sat on the mat over the dirt floor and worked. So beautiful, this garment, I hang as art on a wall near the window, seeing past glory, the treasure sold, time grinding history, the village wiped out, and where it came from, its people gone, new generations and the murders, and a traveler from a foreign land with money to buy lovely. Who buys this? This was, I think, the last thing I did. It's called Lost Books. It's a light thing that you can all relate to, a common dilemma. They're always lost, the books. They're always lost. Win, win, says a voice. And in the space between heater and cooler, You find one upended, waiting to be read. Moments pass, and in another land, you too are lost, can't find. You forage between blankets and sheets. Luck is with you, it's there. You pick it up, the wisdom you're after, begin at the start, and take what is given. You win, says the voice. Promiscuous reading has gotten you here. You vow to stand on your own when you're done. That is the very, very recent stuff. I always like to read new stuff for whatever, And that's a great value of these readings. They keep us on our toes. They make us prepare and maybe revise and redeem and create when you're at it. I mean, I'm always at it in a way, but you have that thing and you have to do it, and you revise your work, you look at it, and it leads you on to other work. It's very, very, it's the thing that keeps us going, David, these kind of events. Here are some poems from a book, Woven Lightning. I don't know, I picked some. I liked others and I liked that. It's called Stones. This is a serious poem. Serious poem. Stones I am holding spill from my hands, fall to the ground in their stubborn form, not humble like me, who honors even death. Little do they know the dust they shall be when the eons pass and no one's left talking. Still I am angry and kick one down the hill, hasten its change to pebble, to gravel. Envying its sureness, I who know it will change, though it seems to defy time, mute and stupid. July. There's a mention here of fleas doing a certain thing, and it refers to the ancient art of flea circuses that probably, if one or two men still alive in Europe do it, it would be a miracle. But I did see it in Hubert's Flea Circus that a boyfriend took me to on 42nd Street. But then that was it. It really happened. It really happened. But so I just use this as part of a metaphor. But the flea circus. July. The pain went spinning off like fleas on unicycles. When awakened by a mosquito, you awoke me gazing long. I was clearly another woman then. Yes, my troubles faded, like gossip, jokes, or just another story. Your face, that new July. Both ways. I couldn't depict your life and sell it, so I remained poor in heart and in purse. I couldn't remember your face, my loss, so you had to be with me, lest I forget. What a material being I am, unable to hold water in my hands. If I could, there'd be no need, and I wouldn't lose both ways. I wouldn't lose both ways, wordless, without you, near or far. Okay. Inventions. The string, another love poem. The string bean's in love with the pea, but ardor has cooled and they fight. Good neighbor, you want to help. Fear grips your gut, and you panic. Is the tiny bride safe? Should you call the police? No. There's a gardener at the gate. You heave a sigh of relief. Solstice Light. This poem was published in a magazine in Vietnam, I don't know. Every shadow on the road, and we'll be having solstice pretty soon. Well, but the other one, when your shadows are so long, you know? Solstice Light. Every shadow on the road is a tree in a way, or what you touch with swinging branches. Your own long body reaches the mountain, the field is covered with the tree's shade. Bliss of emptiness, the world bursts forth, sliver of bark rising over you, full of the sun. This was a poem about a poet who never showed emotion and never talked about anything people understood. Hundreds of PhDs, they know what he was talking about, but he was very lauded, and I suppose I just never got him. It's called In the Emperor It Is Clothes. Are there any creatures digging through the walls? Can you eat your toenails? Do you sink or fall? When any other weather than the clear of June just past presents you with the problem to stay or vanish fast, your basic understanding skewed to whiffs of air, pressure currents, passions, to eat, sleep, comb your hair. The days delivered matters, fish, fowl, to drink, stay dry, or where to place your money, and how to never cry. Bubbles. They are rushing to the top of the glass, those eager bubbles. A monster swallows them whole, bursting not seen, gas their new substance. What crosses membranes gives a little ping to life before the belch, before the thirst begins again. It's hard to see. The light is a little. Can I read that again? Because I couldn't really see too well. You know, the light. Oh, the lamp. I could bring the lamp over here. Is that possible? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, hey, I didn't think of that. I was having trouble seeing it. Okay, bubbles. They are rushing to the top of the glass. Those eager bubbles. A monster swallows them whole, bursting not seen, gas their new substance. What crosses membranes gives a little ping to life before the belch, before the thirst begins again. Now, there is people who get very excited about something and other people who are very blasé. I had a dream. This figure came as a dream, and I don't know if I told this story to someone or I made it up, but I did have this dream of a Buddha in a balloon, in the form of a balloon. So, okay. Balloon Buddha. The balloon Buddha sitting on the rug didn't burst, but slowly diminished to the floor, then nothing, freeing the air of its form. There we were, both of us, verifying the presence, one receiving it as a sign, the other shrugging it off as a dream. Here's one sort of called, it's called Identity could be a name for this poem. It had an identity. Identity, this, that, or that eternal question, or that question that Bhagavan Gita would always ask as he sat in his place for 100 years or more, and he would say, who am I? Who am I? And that was the whole mantra, the whole thing. You had to know, who am I? So this is, I guess, who am I? Or I said identity. The one who scratched an eye and sneezed like me. My twin on a beach where a book placed us. Or the name of that book, the great one labored to write from his soundless retreat, the sky unending and we, composite burgeoning blossoms beneath buzzing humming birds, an open window and a page turning the day. Prepared. Oh, keep it. The sky is unpredictable. You may need it, you never know. The black tape around the back, paper mending. I'm sorry, the back, I'm sorry, I gotta begin. Writing's prepared. Oh, keep it. The sky's unpredictable. You may need it, you never know. The blank page across the back, poor mending, and your saucer of a hat that matches with its little tear near the crown will stand you in good stead should life take you by surprise and you're out in the cold, God forbid. It's a serviceable outfit, and along with your satchel of tricks, you'll do fine. Consider it insurance. No matter what the sky decides, you'll be covered for sure. Besides, you can rest assured knowing that I'm a bit jealous, owning no policy, and with just a little kerchief for my head. This poem is called At the Tule Tree. The Tule Tree was what is it called? The Montezuma cypress. It's 138 feet around. It's near Oaxaca. And they say it's the largest tree in the world, but who knows, it's very large. It's very large, and like many, many children go around, ring around a rosy around the tree, and it's like, I don't know, 100 children. So I was back at that tree on a trip, and I had been at that tree on another trip, and here it goes. I'm reading from this book, Woven Lightning. I tried to read from two books and new stuff that I wrote, so that this is kind of old for me. At the Tule Tree. 1, I have come to this tree to weep for my friends who have gone. My vial of tears pours to the ground near the bird. The bird who drags its tail across the grass, a large grain of corn in its beak. Nothing will ever cut me short of the glory and hunger they lived. They who walked here no longer, names that were love's breath, thoughts lightning, the color of weather. I walk. All my wits are required to pierce the smudge, open the horizon. Archaeology. No, I'm sorry, that's not there. Here's another word poem, a poem about words. Wordcraft. You've probably heard this from me. I've done it a few times. The words are dozing, resting from work at the nuance factory to regain their original nature after a lifetime of time and a half. Outside, flocks of poets flock. Outside, flocks of poets lurk, nets ready in hand to flick their wrists and capture the brightest, the starkest, the most subtle, to compose poems with them if life doesn't intervene. If it does, there are always butterflies and flotillas of clouds passing by. What to do, what to say. Tell me why you couldn't become a gnat, blown through spring's tree by gust or breeze, to burst your own way with the climates, to buzz your own way with the climates, to annoy us, feed, or simply be the elements? Why have you chosen to take on the ocean, infinitely filling the boat we are in, before it cracks at a seam and fills to its limits and we're drowning? You disappear in the vastness of air to the depths of endless murk and can't get out or get back. Could I have helped, I who was born to speak? Or do I, too, say too little or too much, wish for nothing or the start of creation? Am I simply an animal feeding, greedily swallowing everything, the god Saturn? Dawn. Now I will sing praise for my left hand and all the flowers that might have been, bodies rotting in fields of rut, and children dead in their cribs. I won't compose commissioned cheer, hors d'oeuvres never deceived me, with stipends to reach heights where mortals go, and a helicopter to prove it. Ghosts. Taken by error, their lives return, they are written back to existence. And their raised house stands reconstructed. From room to room they walk, fulfill what fire aborted. A special ink has achieved this. Out of here. Get me out of here, my tongue is burning, it's the cactus juice. What do you want from an imbiber? I didn't pick this lifestyle, you know. You with the prosthetic fingernails? I have to get out, get to the mall. I need to gamble, it's calling. Check, crack, one check, crank, check, 22,000 to win. Look, over the chimney, there by the screen, tell the story. The man with the dolly moves his ladder to the shelves for my chips. Not astronomers and astronomers lined at the counter brandish ads for day glow with pudding. Please give me the ticket, the one with my birthday and the number, my passport and wedding ring. Hurry, it's not easy. Did you think life was a cakewalk? I'll help too. Are you betting? Her tongue extending to the last carton hollow, where eggs cracked, their yolks spilling out when the bag overturned at a traffic light. This breakfast in breakfast this morning I discovered the damage, called her from her slumber and coaxed her back, the carton pointing to the little yellow pools. She hesitated, then found what I meant, curled her long tongue to every crevice where the shells had smashed and food lay. I kneeled to watch her tongue do what mine couldn't, lengthening, curling to contain the surprise nourishment. I stayed down, watched in awe till all was gone. I sang praise then, and my troubles ended. And this one was for Stanley Nelson, who was a very fine poet. Very fine poet. For Stanley Nelson, wind, you've saved me from illusion, just a moment's exhalation, this poem of mine of an afternoon, overwhelmed by your currents, smashes on the rock. Now I can breathe again, disinterestedly, forget-me-nots on the moss, and a failing tulip capture my gaze. release it from talking's illusion. And I can contemplate freedom and the flag, not the flag, but a white butterfly perched on a fringed yellow petal, its wings pressed together, miming others and others' eyes, imbibing April's sun. I never got over Spectacular Wednesday, the one following Trauma 6 and Tuesday's War. I gave in and stopped counting. In a maze of pseudo-eternity, I savored my pastry, watching the screen flash yesterday's history, mechanical drumming, beating the day. What's the matter, a few seem to ask? What's the matter, a few seem to ask? I couldn't answer, guessing they'd hear what I couldn't say. Thank you. We take a short little break before Mr. Weed comes on, huh?
That was great, Roberta. Bubbles. Actually, I'm still thinking about the balloon Buddha, but I'm going to think about that for a while. I definitely work a lot more narratively than, I don't know that I would call it poems. And the pieces I'm going to read next are actually prose pieces. Not really hybrid. They're not prose poems. I've been writing a lot, just trying to get something down under 500 words. Everything's flash now. Flash fiction, flash nonfiction, flash memoir, flash. So you just kind of run the gamut in there. This one, lights, but these are, I'm trying to fit them in with the same theme as of living on the side of a mountain, trying to understand home. Lights at night. From miles in the air, green squares outlined by tan gravel roads lie across a vast landscape. A patch of trees in a corner surrounds a house. There is a barn. Who lives there? I wish to see their faces, see them walk their farmyard, sit on the porch as a daylight breeze filters through the leaves. What do they dream at night? Who were their dead people? Driving in my car, a plane passes overhead. There is a person at a window seat who sees the sun shining off the top of my tiny metal box on a ribbon of asphalt and wonders about the driver. Who's in that car? And are they going home or driving away? Are they lonely or just alone? What are they doing with their life? Lying in the summer grass, the body pulled tight to the ground by gravity's arms, everything has an end except up. Earth, the sphere surrounded by infinity. Staring into emptiness on a clear night, the small twinkling dots, knowing there are countless lights beyond the stars we see. Where is home in all of that? A longing for comfort in the center of our nervous system, a vast space possible inside ourselves. This is, that was a little bit more of a macro view, and this one's a little bit more of a micro view. String theory. The clothesline in the side yard runs in a loop between two pulleys held by two trees. The other day, from 30 feet away, I noticed a small blur in my field of vision. It looked like the top loop of the clothesline was vibrating. I wondered if my eyes played tricks. I only look at the clothesline when I hang in laundry or with a peripheral glance as I duck underneath. It didn't go away when I blinked. I was drawn to it. It was vibrating. I listened for some type of hum, a car, truck, a plane, the furnace, something that could be causing this. I touched it and it stopped, but immediately the bottom line began vibrating. Then I stopped. I relaxed and focused my concentration. A breeze? Nothing in the feet. No, there was nothing I could sense to be the cause of this. I touched the lower line, and the top one started again. I touched it once more, and both stopped altogether. Nothing except the usual sound of a quiet day. This puzzled me, but I continued to wonder. Then, one quiet night, I heard a train whistle. Must be 6-7 miles away, the nearest tracks, plus another 800-foot drop down the southeastern slope of the Catskill Mountains towards the Hudson River. I went to the clothesline, and it was vibrating. I couldn't hear the train other than the whistle, maybe a very distant, low rumble through 6 miles of air, past the pulleys, the trees, the roots, the soil, the bedrock, on down slopes and ledges covered with woods and littered with streams, fields, and homes, past bridges, businesses, schools, neighborhoods, hamlets of the valley, and the New York State Thruway. Past all that rumbles a locomotive, steel on steel, waves ripple from its motion on track. Oh, this one. Okay. I poets, people who like poetry, they're split between people who hate poems about poems and poetry and those who are okay with them. So I'm going to read this one for the poets. I want my poems. I want my poems to be like boats on a mighty river, perhaps 18-foot fishing skiffs, to navigate, sometimes upstream, cut into the unified liquid surface, weight and pressure, the entire body of water moving, its depth and force of mass pressing against the hull's displacement. Your feet pressed askew across the keel, hands on the gunnels. History branches forward, two shores and a ribbon of water teeming with life. Excuse me, there goes my voice again. I think I'm just out of practice in reading. I don't go anywhere. I don't see anybody. I don't talk. I just don't even use my voice. No, I think it's yeah. I have two more pieces. The Late Stars. This was an older piece that actually felt like it was, felt a little bit more relevant. I pulled it out mainly because of the James Webb Space Telescope, which is incredible, the images from that. So it made me pull it out and work on it. The Late Stars. July. It's a hot night. I can't sleep. Cats are meowing and a baby is crying. The bedroom's a mess. I might have tried sleep on the couch, but somebody else has claimed that territory. I'd love to have sex right now and then go back to sleep, but no way is that possible. Every light in the house is far too bright to use. The sky is thick with darkness. Nothing is going to penetrate it tonight. And what's up with the toads? There are so many toads that I worry about walking outside. I've stepped on a large one in the night before, in flip-flops. Still gives me the shivers. Where are their cool and dark day spots? They are the color of stone and dirt and dry as a summer drought. The world is messed up, and we can only make plans for our survival. Nature was the perfect thing. We were new, not separate. Brain, will, and thumbs. How do we undo decimation for product? How many people on this planet is sustainable while working together? 12 billion? How are we doing with 8? Mother Nature will cap population. We'll make our contributions. Deadeye on a disaster. I am suspicious of any activity at 3 a.m. Why is there a car driving by on our quiet country road? Who's flying that airplane, and the hell is anybody traveling at this hour? I dream through these hours. Who am I up to be noticing? The late stars began their journey near the beginning of time. The late stars shine somewhere whether we are awake or not. When the light from the late stars arrives here, we'll be exhausted. I brew coffee. Only light reaches our senses from beyond Earth. Eastern sky lightens, first birds at 4:35 a.m., then a few more. Soon the whole woods will be singing the morning songs, and the day will rise out of the water, shining and dripping wet like an infant from the womb. So, yes, things are messed up, but things are beautiful, and life's a miracle. And we're all just snowflakes. This last poem is it's really called Late Season Snowfall, but it's also kind of snowfall can happen maybe in October, November, that first very light one. Late season snowfall. This snowfall is a slow motion performance, though some snowflakes drop in a rush, speeding by like it's a race to win. However, others do flips, and there are some also plain old flops. The dramatic ones twirl with distinct spirals. Others wave as they flutter, and still more wave as they spin, while most just float as soft dust, taking their time to enjoy the view. Flakes descend the vertical, but some come at a slant, while others hold hands and zigzag. Occasionally a fancy loop-the-loop, but those are rare. There is much swaying back and forth like a hand keeping time, rhythm of drift. Wouldn't snowflakes continue to fall through all of space, except the earth rises to greet them? Their final resting places knit a quiet layer over the fields, a place to melt together and feed the new growth of green, freshen the streams and rivers that break their ice flowing ever on. This snow is only falling to make morning pretty. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
This poem is called Demagogue. I wrote this in 2016. Scream to the impending storm. Capture it with your breath. Cheeks puffed to bursting, ready to deflate to nothing, nourish nothing, your notions, a desire to prove you are bigger than the sky, your impediment. 2020. The tyrant dreams. No, later than that. The tyrant dreams. I place little weights on the clock's hands. This fools the faithful, timelessly lost, working forever to nostalgic music. But when they awake, I am ready and move the moon. Gravity changes and the sun starts a new journey. The earth speeds up as I choose. The constellations turn at my will, illusions sent to my believers. As I sit on my throne, bask in golden destruction, the ancient prophecy fulfilled, history, me. This is a nice poem about nice people. Spelling. Every time the words disassembled themselves, or even vanished, leaving a blank slate or sky, she would be there imagining a page and reading each letter to me. This was not immediate process of spell check on the computer, or that does much better, offering related words to ponder, but it had that special tone of her voice I hear coming from the other side of this skull with its history and mystery. Had she erred, I would have been quite happy writing the misspellings, quirks of one other than me, and sending them out, but she never did. Slowly seeing the invisible, she'd give me the letters one by one, more perfect than any dictionary. And here's a poem, etymology abstract. I have a few poems here about forms of life that are not human. This is about an etymology extract. There's some human humanity involved. It's talking about this insect that they're doing. The ionic pressure that keeps their symbionts moving wherever they're needed is not a liver pumping and all-containing blood, but it does quite well, key to flying and surviving. Their cells depend on it, so robust they beat us. Their CNS, their central nervous system, like ours, though less densely packed, without almost infinite neurons, functions to perfection. And though they do not read, they can hear us miles away. Whether or not their nymphhood was good, they transform themselves inevitably and do what they should. This is about the roses. Watch out for the roses, weakening you with their scent, drawing you close, stabbing deep. Waves of sweetness evoking the canopy of trees you took shelter under, dreaming you dwelt in paradise, forgetting what a fierce bunch they are, hiding daggers under their flowers, rightfully defending themselves, but dangerous to you and your hands. A psychology friend I know would think I was paranoid with that, but this is a poem about flowers. This poem is called Day True. That was the name of my next book. That will come out soon. Day True. It refers to the 3 miracles that kept me alive, probably. Only one of them is about one of the miracles that kept me alive here. And, several have happened. Day True. Casting dice, taking cues from the thunder or the numbers that sing in your sleep. You're ready to stand up on Tuesday like a mountain in raging December. Ordained by the stars or God, the day is true, wheels you as the hand that pushed your carriage, as bulging clouds became herds of horses circling a sky full of stanchions. The day is new as when, crossing the avenue, a motorcycle smashed through the hood of your carriage, destroyed it but managed to miss you, sitting up bright-eyed and happy. And now another Monday passes. Standing up, you bravely look out. Will a new miracle hold back the new monster? Tomorrow will tell. And here's a poem that I usually close with, but then I have another one. This is a very nice poem. It's called Attempted Dialogue with Cicadas. Oh, excuse my modesty. And attempted dialogue with the cicadas. Every 17 years they come out, and this year they didn't, or they did some other place of the country. Flinging this voice up is futile. I'll never find them singing in the treetops. They seem to be everywhere like stars, but I am defeated. For there are only 2 or 3 each with single notes, pitching me out of my frame into the sky's dome. And my voice will never discover what branches they call from, thriving while I fail to reach them, charging the air with their magical tremble, thrilling the forest as they did when we were dream seeds. And lastly, something I found in the pile, A to Z. This is new, I guess. A to Z. That's how I got started, blabbing and hearing, laughing when crying. I'm sorry. That's how I got A to Z. That's how I got our start. Blabbing before hearing, laughing when crying. It was an exploration all the way. It ended as it started, unable to spark a new world, though I kept trying. A to Z, that's how I got started, blabbing before hearing, laughing when crying. It was an exploration all the way. It ended as it started, unable to spark a new world, though I kept trying. Thank you very much for coming. Bravo. Thank you.